Welcome back to the Washed Athlete Podcast. This is episode number 33. This is just a podcast where us guys kind of just talk about anything that's interesting to us. We're a bunch of college students, so everything from football to Marvel to really anything that we feel like is cool enough to talk about. So if you end up enjoying, if you like what we're talking about, if you don't like what we're talking about, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. So it's been a good week so far, guys.
Shut up. It's been a week. I think today pretty much marks 1/3 of the way through the semester, which is kind of wild. It goes by really fast. Weeks just tick off like crazy. I mean, it feels like a week since we recorded the last podcast episode, but we actually, for people listening, if you had watched all our episodes, we recorded the 2 episodes in the one day. So it's been 2 weeks since we recorded. It feels like 1 week. So just time flies in college, and especially when you come up on midterms about 1/3 of the way in the year, because it's midterm, and then final for the most part. Like 1/3, 2/3, and then 3 out of 3. So I know since Raj and I have every class together besides my history class, Raj and I had quite the eventful week. Mine started a little bit earlier on Friday, but we'll kick it over to Raj. I'm not going to steal too much of his thunder, and Raj is going to talk about some of our adventures this week on the road to medical school.
The nightmares, they're finally over. So Justin and I had what we like to call our Hell Week, where we started off Monday bright and early at 8 a.m. with an anatomy exam on all the muscles and bones of the lower extremity. Then
you forgot ligaments.
And ligaments and tendons.
There was ligaments on it.
Veins, arteries, nervous system, just everything. And then Justin later that day had his anatomy lab practical, while I had mine on Tuesday. That was not too bad. Then
no, the practical is weird. I'm assuming most people listening have not gone to an anatomy practical exam. Like it's like unlike anything I've taken before, where you just kind of like walk into a class. Like we walked to a table. There was a fibula, a tibia,
and a hip,
and like the innominate bone, and then there was the femur. And they're just all right in front of us, and you just have to like point out, like you just get he like randomized the list. Our professor randomized the list, and we just like have to go through and pick one out for each bone, and then they eventually make you have to like palpate certain things on you, but you don't know what you're getting asked. And they also threw on ligaments onto the practical exam, which I wasn't expecting, and they threw on some muscle attachments. So like I walked in and I saw the form, and I got to like look at it for like 5 minutes before like I went up to the station, and I was like, I didn't think this was going to be on the practical. I was like, and we ended up pulling a 20 out of 20, no biggie, but I was like, let's go. There was like a slight moment of panic. I was like, I don't remember.
It's like when your heart just does just like a real quick, like in between, like the bump. It's just it's like,
Well, so they asked me what muscle attachment attached to the iliac fossa, and I was like, what? Like,
can you translate that into English for those who don't know?
Your hip has a depression in the middle of it, and a muscle attaches to it that is related to hip flexion.
Yes. There you go.
So, but I just didn't I just did a hard cut for a minute. I was like, I thought this was only supposed to be bones. I was like, I was not prepared for this. But it's cool. Again, like I'm always used to taking pen to paper or like on Canvas or writing essays, and it was cool. Like it was a little change of pace, and it happened so quick. It was like a 3-minute exam. Technically I was supposed to start at 5:30, but they were rolling as soon as I got there at like 5:25. And I mean, I was out of there at like 5:33 or something. So I was like, free hour, let's go. Which free hour going into the next part meant studying early for human physiology, which Raj and I had. The day of recording this is just Thursday. People are seeing this Friday, so it would be yesterday. And
I hate that class.
Yeah, I mean, I really do enjoy the content, but it's a lot of material, especially when you're taking a lot of people take human phys and human anatomy together. So if you like learn about the anatomy of the digestive system, and you also learn the physiology of the digestive system, whatnot. It's not how our class works, which is good and bad in both ways. But I think the way it means is that we learn a little bit more of each content than a lot of other people. So it is a ton of content just flowing in. And I think there was a lot of late nights for Raj and I leading up into that. Raj, would you confirm?
It got to the point where I just didn't even go to class on Tuesday and Wednesday because I was up studying. And I've gotten a lot better at going to bed before like 2 a.m., even 3 a.m. Here we are, reverting back to my old ways because we had an exam on 6 chapters, 4 of them being the nervous system. It's dense. It sucks.
So last night, some of the RAs in my building were walking around like doing our normal checks that we do, and they stopped by and they were like, "Wow, Justin, you're reverting back to your old tendencies of like staying up late at night." Oh, actually, no. Well, I don't remember who was walking by, but they were like, "You're reverting to your old tendencies," and I was like, "Listen, this is
time out. You don't remember who was walking. You just remember speaking to a human being, and you're like, "Yeah, it was probably somebody that I knew."
Yeah, it was one of the RAs I know, but it was a late night. But I have not slept much. But no,
as it turns out, you actually weren't speaking to anybody. There was no one there. You just opened the door and started talking.
I'm just making everything up right now. Nothing ever happened. But no, I remember they were like, "You've reverted back to your old tendencies." I was like, "Listen, this is not my fault." I was like, "This is a bad week." So it was late nights. Raj and I need to get back on a better schedule because we need to show up to our classes, and they start again 8:30 on Monday.
Well, hey, we got fall break where we just have one extra day of the weekend. It's the dumbest thing.
I'm glad you brought this up. Peter, talk about fall break for the audio listener, to the listeners who might not know what we're talking about.
So at most universities, the way that it works is classes start like late August, early September, goes through there. You have a fall break. So like sometime in October, probably early-ish, you'll have like 3 to 4 days off, like a decent stretch. Usually not a full week. Some universities do it a full week. Then you go into like November-ish. That's when you have like a Thanksgiving break, which is like, again, like a long weekend week type thing. And then you go off for winter break afterwards. At Pitt, we have one extra day for our fall break. So we basically roll from August until mid-November, no days off. But they call fall break a single Friday on a random October. Like it's so like worthless. It feels like.
No, and I think what's the most frustrating thing is they call it fall break. They don't say like a wellness day or anything. They advertise it as like a break. Like I'm not advocating for like a break because when you don't have a week break, that school ends a little bit earlier. Like we get our stuff done. Our school year ends
call it like
early.
It is.
But like call it like what it is. Raj and I don't have classes on Friday. My life changes a little. Like my mental health doesn't get any better from having this day off tomorrow because I'm going to be doing the same things tomorrow that I would be doing any other Friday because I don't have classes, which means I'm going to be in the library all day. But like that, it's not a break for some people. Like if you have like last year would have been great. I had a lab in the morning and then I had 2 other classes. So I was up from I had classes from like 8 to 2 pretty much. So the like fall break was really nice last year when it was on a Friday. I don't know if it was on a Friday last year, but when we had fall break last year, it was really nice. But
it might have been during one of those like mental health days that were on Wednesdays.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Like they had said they wanted to put fall break as Friday and Monday to give a 4-day weekend. That would have made a lot more sense because everyone has classes on Monday for the most part. So it would have been a nice like 4-day weekend. If you don't have classes on Friday, you at least get 3 days. But they're just like, nah, Friday. They know people don't have classes on Friday. They
know that like at minimum, like the best day to put it would be on a Monday because everybody definitely has class on a Monday.
Yeah,
but they put it on a Friday where it's like, some people try to lighten their class load, like so that way they don't have as many or if any classes on a Friday. It's just dumb. It's really, really dumb because like, again, for you guys, you literally don't have classes scheduled on Fridays. Like for me, I only have like 2 of my like easier classes on Friday. So I'm done by like 1:00. Like that's like the latest. So it's like, yeah, it's nice, but I'm still going to be like doing work tomorrow. Like it doesn't mean like I'm just not doing anything. Versus like on a Monday, it's like, okay, well I still have Friday, like basically Friday, like afternoon / night to like go into. And then Sunday is now a second Saturday. And then Monday is like, okay, now I actually have to get back in the swing of things. but we don't have that now. It's just like it's kind of the same.
Like our professor at the end of our physiology exam today goes, "Oh, have a nice fall break," and I was like, "There's no fall break." I was like 90% of this class probably does not have classes.
Throw something.
I was like 90% of this class does not have class tomorrow. Maybe like some people taking courses outside of our rehabilitation science school or program, like my history class. But my history class doesn't run on Friday, so like it's so aggravating because I'm like a day off of classes would have been really nice. And the best day to have off is a Wednesday. Well, it would probably, I don't know what day it would be this year because I only have 4 days of classes, so there's no middle point. But when you were in high school,
Wednesday.
If you
I'll take a Wednesday.
If you're in high school, when you're in high school and you have the middle of the week off, it makes the week feel so much shorter because you're tired for 2 days, you go to classes, and you have that middle point where you can catch up, get some Z's, and then you go back for the 2 days, and then Friday doesn't even feel like a day. So then you're just essentially like, it's just like, I don't know, it just feels so short and you get so much done with a Wednesday off. So even a fall break on a Wednesday would have been nice, just as like hey, you guys can get this day off to recharge during the week. Because listen, low key, if there was Wednesday off this week, we would have been chilling. If I didn't have to show up to anything on Wednesday yesterday and like sleeping a little bit, it would have been great. But that's not the reality of the situation.
Raj, why are you cutting a hole in a Pringles can?
It's because I'm not allowed to say what my thoughts are on having fall break on Friday, so I'm taking it out on my Pringles can.
Very mature of you.
Anyway,
Peter, what was your week like? Did you have a hell week?
Well, I had hell week last week. Was my hell week? It was just like the way that my midterms lined up. It was terrible. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty bad. I mean, like the tests weren't. I mean, like they sucked, but it wasn't like I was like tearing my hair out. Like what? Like I don't know any of this. It was just like I know what I know generally like what all the concepts are like in all my classes, but it's just like at a certain point, sometimes like teachers, especially like in my stats class, my test felt way too easy. And like I did fine on it, but there was definitely some questions I'm like, why is this what you're testing?
Yeah.
And then it's like other ones where it's like it like looks so simple, but it's actually really complicated, and it's really hard to explain. Like one of the questions I had, it was, what is bias in statistics? That was it. So I'm like
open response or like multiple choice?
Open response.
Oh no, that's
so
the
I'm
worst. I feel like bias is an abstract topic.
That's what I was saying. I was like, oh wait, hang on a second. So then like obviously I answered. I was like, oh, it's like when you like skew an experiment to have like a certain result, whatever. And then there was like other ones where it just asks like, oh, what's the probability of this? And there's just like an equation you use. I'm like, is it just using the equation? Like, I don't understand. Yeah. Like, what are you testing me on? We've been doing this the entire time.
You're like, what's the catch?
Exactly. And then it's like, and of course I don't actually know like what all the, like what I got right, what I got wrong and stuff like that. So now I'm going to go back and be like, why? I'm just going to ask like, why was this a question?
Yeah.
Like how are we applying our knowledge?
What was the point of this?
It's so weird. It really is. But
yeah.
It's actually in the middle of your guys' rant about your hell week, I got a fantasy notification that Melvin Gordon, because I decided to be bold this week in my fantasy team and bench Najee because he's been terrible. Just got a notification that Melvin Gordon, who's been doing all right, he fumbles a lot, but when he plays well, just got downgraded to questionable. So
nice.
I'll leave.
Well, I think that serves as a great transition. If no one else has anything else to say about Hell Week, we got through it. Now Raj and I can study for the MCAT and resume back to our tendencies. But
MCAT.
Speaking of the fantasy year, as we've mentioned a few times in the pod, the 5 of us who are typically on this pod all are in a league, and then we have a couple other of our friends. Raj is currently sitting at a cool 5-0, Jacob at 4-1, and then Peter is 1-4.
Look, and then I've been getting
no, Peter, it's okay. Let's go to Justin first because I'm about to tear this dude up. What happened to your team, bud?
Listen, okay, for everyone
what's
listening
your record?
who is
what's
not,
your record again?
What's your record?
For everyone listening who is not aware, of the situation. I am 2-3, and
okay.
I recently
now just wait. Before you go on your little excuses about why your team's 2-3, remember when you said a few weeks ago that your fantasy team's goated and you were gonna go undefeated and you're gonna win the entire league? What happened? And would you like to refresh them on the score of our game this past weekend?
We did say that. I'm not gonna lie. It's not a great look. I did say that I was a great team, and I'm still gonna stand by it. We're gonna make a comeback. We're gonna make the playoffs, and we're gonna make some noise. The reality of the situation, DeAndre Swift is injured. That's the problem. He is the anchor for the entire team. But Kyle Pitts, he's injured. Ben and Noshi, where Kyle Pitts was good last year, on a really good tight end, and he's nowhere.
I had a bad feeling about him from the beginning of this year, because they just lock him up. They don't throw him the ball. Ugh.
They got to figure it out, because he was genuinely a top 10 tight end last year, as a rookie. There's no reason he couldn't be good this year, and he's just sucks in fantasy. He's been injured. DeAndre Swift is injured, and then I don't know. The team's a little all over the place. Guys just not performing well. AJ Brown 6 points during the week, but I did lose. I played a bad game against Raj, but the problem is Raj's team went crazy. His quarterback had 35 points. Both of his running backs had 35 points. And that was pretty much it. And even you get 16 points from his kicker. Not much
kicker
you can
outscored every player on your team but Devontae Adams.
And Mostert. Rasheem Mostert.
I didn't even see that. Well, that's so sad that almost your entire team got outscored by Dan Carlson, who's probably going to get arrested for tax fraud in 3 weeks, according to the Raiders trend.
Yeah, the second you join the Raiders, you immediately want to go to prison. But we'll ignore Devontae Adams throwing a camera guy, even though it was a bit of a flop, but we'll ignore that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit. People's thoughts. Yeah, let's get. Actually, we'll try to circle back to that. But yeah, my team's looking a little bit down this week. Let's see who I'm projected. What's the score this week? Yeah, I'm projected to currently win this week, but my opponent has not set their lineup. So if they don't do that, then a W. But yeah, it's not looking really great for Team Justin at the moment. But if people have not gotten the impression through the pod, I will talk crap about in fantasy for no reason, just because I have really nothing to lose. I'm not concerned about coming in last place ever. If I do come in last place, it's just unfortunate.
No, you should be concerned if you're talking trash and Raj wins, because he will make the punishment awful specifically for you.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, I see, but I'm not going to come in last. So.
I'm just sorry.
I'm inherently.
Well, actually, you're kind of guaranteed not to get in last, because 2 of our players in our league are so unbelievably bad. It's not even funny.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like there's always one person who is so unbelievably bad, and it hasn't been me in the past. So I'm never confident I'm gonna take a punishment for it. So
yeah, for context. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just throwing context on for our listeners, because it's a 10-person league. The person in second to last has 535 points total for the season so far. The person in dead last has 486. That is nearly 100 points lower.
Yeah, and you think about someone like me who has 567, which is really not that good. That's still 80 more points than they have, and there's only been 5 weeks. That means I'm outscoring them by 15 points a week. That's a lot. That's a whole extra player.
That's a player, yeah.
Yeah. So it is ridiculous, but Raj is having a great fantasy season. Raj, do you want to? You're probably on your high horse a little bit. We'll get to Peter's debacle a little bit, but Raj, do you want to talk about your great fantasy season so far?
Yes. So let's start off with my
the way you said yes,
players.
Just
bro, settle down. It's fantasy.
My fantasy team, Josh Allen. Let's just look at his games spread.
You're still a rat for taking him in the third round.
31 points week 1. 29.68 week 2. 26.7 week 3. 23 week 4. That was a little bit of a letdown. Then 35.
Rat.
Austin Eckler, he kind of let me down a few weeks, but, now he dropped 35 last week. Fournette's been always solid. Waddle, he was good, and then Tua got a back injury. Let's see. Chris Godwin back from injury. I decided to start Taysom Hill this week because
I don't think that's a good move.
Now I'm just experimenting. My tight ends never score that much. I have David Njoku. It's like whatever.
Can you give me one of your tight ends that scores points, please?
I dropped Gerald Everett. Go get him.
Who was he? Jets?
No, Chargers.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the reality of the situation is, Raj, you have an 89% chance to make the playoffs, and you'll keep going down. Your bench is also deep. My bench is terrible.
Curtis Samuel was a great pickup by me. Jacob called me an idiot for picking him up. Then when I played Jacob that week, he dropped 25 on him. So that was very nice to see. Defense. Oh, I need to change my defense again. Then not Jake Elliott. Our resident future tax frauder, Dan Carlson's on bye, so I picked up the Seahawks kicker, and Bill's head coach because they beat teams with a big margin most of the time. So usually I get a lot of points from them. And even on my bench, Edwards-Helaire, Connor, Smitty, Burrow, Hopkins is back in 2 weeks. Now I actually have a true wideout one.
Which is going to be really good for you because Waddle, you talk about it a little bit. I have Waddle in a different league, just really just been bad since Tua got hurt. And it's frustrating because this is a guy who
now here's a guy.
He's just a guy who's playing really well in the beginning of the year, and he wasn't a flash in the pan. Amon-Ra St. Brown has not been playing well of late, but you could see a situation with Amon-Ra St. Brown hasn't been a flash in the pan, but Jalen Waddle, highly recruited out of Alabama, played well in the beginning of the year, had a good rookie year, so you kind of expected him to be good this year, and now it's just quarterback rodeo going on, and it's just been really bad. But yeah, Raj has got an 89% chance to make the playoffs. It's pretty much a lock. He's the second highest scoring team in the league at the moment. So hopefully someone can take him down in the playoffs. It will be me. We'll be making a comeback. And now, Peter, 1-4.
Every single year, my players get hurt at the worst possible times. Every year. They always go out at the worst times.
It's a skill issue at this point. You're the one who drafts them.
Well, no. It's always I either get Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley, who then gets hurt, or it's some random player that just gets hurt.
T. Higgins.
Exactly. That was my big thing. It's okay, so Najee Harris and Joe Mixon as running backs. You would think in a PPR league, so that's points per reception, they're some of the best pass-catching running backs in the league. So they get points for running the ball, catching the ball, and the receiving yards, plus any touchdowns they get. Najee has been horrible. He is behind Melvin Gordon right now in rankings. He is the 27th overall. I am fairly sure that Melvin Gordon is 26 right now.
He's 39 now after last week.
Oh, yeah, because last week was terrible. But I don't really care. It's going to be better. But Joe Mixon, they don't run the ball. They just stopped running the ball, the Bengals. I don't know what's wrong with them. They just stopped running it. And I picked up all of these players, and it's oh, cool. I have the two really good number 2 receivers on a team. You have Keenan Allen and you have Jamar Chase as the number ones. I got T. Higgins and Mike Williams. So it's those two really good players are going to draw the double team, and then these two can pick up some great fantasy points in the back end. They get hurt every other week. Not even joking. Oh, and don't worry, my sleeper pick, Gabe Davis, he'll put up 50 or 0 points every week. And I never know which one. So the issue is that every single time these players do well, the other one is hurt. So it doesn't matter. Because they might as well, it evens out to just being average. So because I had Gabe Davis put up 32 points last week. He had 3 catches, 2 touchdowns, and 170 yards receiving. And I lost. Why? Because T. Higgins went in for 2 plays and then left the game. What am I supposed to do?
Draft better.
I physically can't. Because you want to know the best part? In the other league I'm in, I'm 3-2. I'm fine. So it's literally not even drafting. It's just this league.
Yeah, and I think it is worth mentioning in the league as a whole, Raj is the team that has had the least amount of points scored against him, in addition to being the most second most in points for. So Raj
just get lucky.
Raj is getting caked on. I have the most points scored against me in the league because I played our friend that scored 180 on me the week before. Raj scored 170 on me.
Wait, am I second?
Yeah, you're second in points again. So
yeah.
Oh no, you're third. The guy who's 0-5 is.
Oh yeah.
Has points against. But obviously Raj second most points in the league. But it's a tough look. I've had a lot of. Let's if we just go pull up the schedule real quick. I've had in week 1, I beat Peter. In week 2, I lost 108 to 197. And in week 3, I didn't have much points scored against me. Then I lost because someone scored 166 points on me. And then I lost the week after because I had someone score 178 points on me. So I have 3 losses this year to people who scored 197 points, 166 points, and 177 points.
There's literally nothing you can do.
There's very little. So that's why we're confident. ESPN says I have a 15% shot to make the playoffs. That's more like 95% chance of my confidence at the moment. So we're not pressed at all. You know, Devontae Adams, he's going to be on a revenge tour after getting in possibly legal trouble. DeAndre Swift is eventually going to come back from his injury after the bye week, and George Pickens is going to become Megatron.
Also, wait, timeout. Raj is in look at the division that Raj is in compared to what.
It's Cade.
I'm in such an amazing division.
You have the 2 lowest players in the league on auto draft and Jacob's team against somehow Andres' team is winning because he gets lucky and plays teams all the time.
Andres' team is garbage.
It's garbage, but he gets lucky. Because, against me, I had a player go out. I just didn't know that was going to happen because he started playing the game. I would have won, and then he just didn't play. But Mira's team is a disgusting auto draft that can either put up 1,000 points or 0. So you never know. And then it's, me, Justin, Jamie, who's ahead of me.
Who beat you?
Who beat me. I was like, you know what? I deserve this punishment, I guess. I did something because I set the lineup against myself and lost. I was like, oh yeah, it's because I was like, oh, it's gonna be a good lineup, but I'm still gonna win. Lost. It's like, oh, cool. Yeah, but you live and you learn. I'm not going to be in last. I'm playing the worst player in the league, and if I lose this week, I think I'm jumping out of Kathy.
You have a 57% chance to win
already. And he has players that probably aren't even going to play. He has one that's out, and then another. I think it's it might be Keenan Allen or something like that. Who's he's just not.
Waller and Keenan Allen.
Waller and Keenan Allen. Yeah, they're just not going to play, and I'm already at 57. If I somehow lose this game, I'm snapping my computer in half.
Yeah, that's tough. A lot of people have not set their lineups, which is
no one really cares about this league. But the fact that 3 or 4 of us care and are somehow not the top 4 is insane.
It just sometimes it's unfortunate with auto draft. I think sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. I made in my other league. I came out of the draft projected 10th, and I was playing against my family. So I usually always make the playoffs. Kind of know what I'm doing. So my ESPN was you're the 10th worst team, 10th best team in the league, and I was cap. And then after 2 weeks, they put me all the way up to first place because I drafted well. But they just didn't agree with their computer system. And I think this year I had a good draft too. My wideouts are AJ Brown, Devontae Adams. They've both been good this year. Devontae Swift's been great this year when he's been healthy. Rasheed Mostert's playing really well. Kyle Pitts, coming off of a year. Christian Kirk has been good. Just DeAndre Swift's been out a couple of weeks, and I just had some inconsistent play. But we'll be back. Yeah. Is anyone else anything else to say on fantasy football?
I hate it. I love playing it, but I just hate how every year, no matter what, I just get dunked on by the fantasy football gods. I don't know who I wronged in my life, but or in a past life, I don't know what I did, but somehow fantasy football, I pissed somebody off at some point in my existence, and now fantasy football just hates me.
It is,
but
it's unfortunate how big of a foothold it has on me at times because I get very annoyed frequently.
Yeah.
Like I try every year to reframe my thought like, Justin, it doesn't matter. I'm like, it does matter because in every league I'm in, I have something to prove. Like in my family league, I'm like, man, I get dogged on when I lose because they're like, oh, you follow football. And I'm like, guys, it's not about that. Yeah. But then I'm like, oh, well, I had to do well because like I'm the resident football fan of the family. So I'm like, oh, man, okay, I got to do well. And then no matter, even if I come in second, I get dogged on. And then our league, I'm like, I don't want to lose to you guys. Like, I know I'm way better at drafting teams than you guys. So
each other. Oh, piss off.
And then
what was that? 85 points.
95% chance to win. So, win the whole thing. And then in my other like club leagues, I'm like, I want to assert dominance. So like, I don't know. It just, I care too much about winning. I'm too competitive. So. I started off so good too. I was 3-0 after week 1. I think I mentioned on the pod. I went 3-0 in all 3 of my leagues, and it's been a little downhill since there, but we will bounce back. So yeah. Congratulations, Raj. You win the Buffalo Bills award for being. No, you win the Arizona Cardinals award. For
No. He is going to be the Buffalo Bills because they have every single tool in their arsenal, and they will not win the Super Bowl solely. Because they should have won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
It's okay. Our emotional well-being is being determined for half the year by a stupid app and a football game on every Sunday.
There we go.
No. Our emotional well-being is determined by anatomy and physiology throughout the week.
That too.
Fantasy,
how well Jalen Hurts plays.
Pitt football on Saturday, and then the Philadelphia Eagles and our fantasy teams on Sunday. So
I swear to God, if we lose to the Cowboys, I'm burning my Eagles.
Y'all better not lose to the Cowboys. That's gonna be horrible.
I'm nervous. This is not a.
You better be sweating. Their defense is good. Their defense is good, man. Micah Parsons is that guy.
Dude's ridiculous. But before we get into any more football conversation, Peter did come into the podcast today with quite the story to tell. Raj and I have no idea what the story is. So, Peter, if you want to take it away.
Okay. I need you guys to answer a question for me.
Yes.
It's actually a bet. It's an over or under. It's very, very simple. Okay.
Love over unders.
Okay. So I'm going to set the line. Over under 0.5 people on the planet. All right? Think about that. Think about what I'm saying. 0 or more than 1 people on the planet that could beat a grizzly bear in hand-to-hand combat.
Justin, what you typing, my guy?
I'm not typing anything.
Okay.
I wasn't typing anything. I might even cut out for a little bit.
Do you guys have any thoughts or...
You know, I think Myles Garrett or Aaron Donald could take a Grizzly. I'm betting the over.
You're betting the over?
I have to bet the over as well. I don't like to work in extremes, so 0.5 is saying that not one person on the entire planet could do it, and that I don't really work in extremes, so I'm gonna say over.
You're gonna bet the over? Okay.
Oh no.
Well, that's good because you are correct. There is a human being on the planet that has beaten a grizzly bear in hand-to-hand combat. I am not even joking. I think, okay, obviously, like, I don't know if there's like actual evidence that this is real. I choose to believe it's real because it's hilarious. But there was a Wyoming man. Wyoming, yes, I know. It gets weirder. Wyoming man who ended up was stuck in between a grizzly bear and what was it? Okay, so mama grizzly bear, dad grizzly bear, cubs. He's in between.
That's tough luck.
The dad grizzly bear comes at him, and apparently this is real. Of course, I found this on Reddit, so of course you have to take everything with a grain of salt.
No, it's factual.
No, but there are other websites you can look this up. You look up. I forget what the guy's name is now. It's on the top of my head, but apparently he stuck his hand down the grizzly bear's throat and then bit its jugular to kill it. This is real. You can look this up. You can find this online. I choose to believe it's real. It makes absolutely zero sense, okay? But it's out there. Yeah. No,
is he like Russian descent? Like,
no. He was like a photographer or something. Like, he's just like a guy. Yeah.
That's absolutely nuts.
Because I was proposed this like same hypothetical, like, oh, could a person beat? It's like, is there a human being that could beat a grizzly bear? I'm thinking like, there's got to be some like wrestler out there. There's got to be some like whatever. No, there's literally a dude that just stuck his hand down a grizzly bear's throat, started choking it from the inside out, and then bit its jugular. Who does that?
That
bites a grizzly bear.
That is hardcore.
I would think Florida, Ohio, no, Wyoming. Man.
Which, first of all, Wyoming doesn't exist. So we're already at like this isn't.
Yeah.
Like we're already at like a
this is already a scandal. This is already a myth and a scandal.
Exactly. But somehow, some way, apparently this dude did it. Yeah, because God, what's this guy's name? Dale Peterson, who killed a grizzly bear with his bare hands and teeth. Yes.
Oh, so he's just purebred American. What?
Yeah. He fought. Yeah, because Peterson was able to shove his hand down the bear's throat, pinch the jugular with his teeth, that then caused the bear to pass out. Once knocked out, Mr. Peterson delivered an exact quote from this website: "The coup de grace with a stick to the head."
In front of the bear's kids and wife?
Yes!
Yo!
That is not something I thought I'd ever hear.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing. So if
he's raising that bear's kids now.
Yeah, I guess. Like, he just made them orphans. This was and also, like, what year do you think this was in? Like, when do you think this, like,
2006.
I feel like there's no way I would have heard about this.
It was 2006.
Wow.
Exactly. Did you read the article?
No, I just guessed.
Oh, yes, it literally was 2006.
I can't believe I've ever heard about this.
I know. That's like, well, it's Wyoming, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I know I bet the over, but like, it's still astonishing to think that someone like confronted a grizzly bear.
It's like somewhat documented.
I don't know what I would do if I was stuck in this situation.
Yeah.
You just sit on the ground and give up.
I mean, that's what you're technically supposed to do that against grizzly bears. And first of all, it's not like he did this against a black bear. Black bears are like notoriously like skittish around people. He did this against like a big grizzly bear. Yeah. Like, I have no idea. It really was like that. Like when I said that, when I like first said that, I was like, oh yeah, like I gotta bet the over, whatever. And it's like, there's no way like anybody this planet. I'm like, but it's 7 billion people. Like, there's got to be one person that could do it. So like, you have to bet the over. And then I just Googled it, and it's first thing that pops up: Wyoming man kills a grizzly bear with his bare hands. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? So yeah, that must
have been an ego. I can't imagine the bear's family like looking upon him and just being like, "Wow, this guy really just lost." Like.
Imagine walking, like, how do you just, like, walk around after that? After you're like, yeah, I killed a bear with my bare hands.
How do you think the mama bear walked around, like, went back to the other bear friends and was like, yo, my husband just got dropped by this human being. Like,
it's like, oh, did he have a gun, whatever? It's like, nah, he used his hands. Like,
that's like the Jaguars beating. That's like the Jaguars beating the Colts last year. Like, what? Like,
it was like,
shouldn't happen.
Why? Why did that happen? Like, what do you mean that happened? What do you mean Carson Wentz had a 5 passer rating? You mean 50? No, 5. What?
This is a step back for the whole entire grizzly bear community.
It really is.
Well,
I guess it's been a step back for the last like 16 years, but for the last 16 years. But yeah, that's a step back. Like, they definitely lost some pride that day. Like I can't like they're so physically imposing, like possess so many more weapons like to destroy than like we do.
It's designed to kill things.
Yeah, it's designed to
People
kill
are
things.
not designed to kill things.
No,
we have to make things to kill things.
Also, the like what I can't imagine like what he like was thinking like to,
what was the thought process?
To bite his jugular. I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't even know what to do. I would have
to shove his hand down the throat. Why are you putting your hand in there?
That's weird. That reminds me of the scene from Harry Potter where he was fighting the snake and he shoved up his. So I know you didn't watch Harry Potter.
Yeah, the sword through the.
Yeah,
if I was a bear, I would get caught off guard and just not know what to do. In that moment.
That's what I think. That's the whole thing with it, because people are like, "Oh, why did the bear bite down?" It's like, why would you bite down when something is down your throat? Like, you can't like do that. Like, if something's like jamming, like
Buddy had a gag reflex.
I guess clearly, but it's like
he was like, "This is not how you're supposed to fight."
Yeah, like he fought dirty and he won. Like, because my whole thing was like, oh yeah, maybe if you like are able to like wrestle, like, because I was thinking like wrestler where it's like you like get to the ground and like you get like under it and like get behind it and like are like on its back maybe, but this dude was like head on, hand down the throat and just bit this thing.
The way you just keep going like this, I'm just like, it's just Harry Potter.
Well, yeah, because it's like he's shoving his hand like. Because he has to throw it up, obviously, because the bear is significantly bigger than him. So he is just, like, punching this thing in the mouth, literally, and then just biting. Like, why is the first thought biting it? And my favorite part is that isn't what killed it. That just made it pass out. Then he finds a stick, and then just...
Meanwhile, his family's watching in horror. What?
Just like
this. Oh. This would be the equivalent of like a cat killing us, and like so like, if I was present,
cat.
Yeah, like, I was present to watch a singular cat kill Raj, I would be so embarrassed for Raj. I would be like, this is a step back for the entire human race. So like, the Bears family was probably so disappointed. Imagine your kids growing up to see you get like knowing that you got like killed by a cat. Like that would be awful. I don't even know if it would
be a cat. That would be like a ferret killing you.
Yeah, probably.
Because cats at least have like claws and like teeth. Like that would legitimately be like something that does not have any actual like tactical advantage over you, killing you.
Well, we do have a prefrontal cortex that helps.
Well, and opposable thumbs, but it will ignore those. Versus literal knives.
The opposable thumbs really helped when he got
really came in. Yeah, when he grabbed his uvula and just squeezed as hard as he could.
I choose to think this is not real. But
no, I have to believe it's real. In my heart of hearts, I know it's probably not real, but God, I want to believe it is. I really do, because it's so funny. It's so funny to believe that this is real. And the fact that it's like multiple sources telling the same story, it's like this guy had to be interviewed to do this. So it's like it's either all of Wyoming is in on the bit, which is hilarious, or this is real.
Well, Wyoming's not real, like you said earlier, so like they could all be in on the bit. But also, like, who do you tell? Like, you come home and you're like, "Honey, I just killed a bear. Being a bear fought, I killed it, bashed its head in with a stick." Like, what are they gonna say? Like, "Oh, I totally believe you." Like, I don't care how much trust is in. I don't care how much trust in your relationship. Like, I wouldn't believe that person.
Or they're going to be like, no, you didn't. And then you're just going to be like, all right, let's go look at the bear that I killed. And you just walk out there and it's just a dead bear. It's
here are the bite marks where I bit its...
See how it literally matches? Yeah.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Yes. So just wanted to inform you two and to all of our listeners that whenever anybody says they can't fight a bear... Remember, I think it's like 13% of Americans, I think, have said that they could beat a grizzly bear in hand-to-hand combat. But just remember, less than 0.000000001% of them are actually right, and they can. It is possible. So never give up on your dreams, no matter what, because you can do it, or you might die trying. But
you can do it or die trying.
Exactly, because you know what. Hey, you can go fight a bear. You can. 99% of the time, you're going to die, but there's still
For
a chance.
All right, Pete, that was not a story I was expecting to hear, but I am glad we heard it nonetheless.
Yes.
But
wow.
I'm going to transition right now because we talked about maybe 2 episodes ago about some sports stories or just some news stories that were going on. And we have some updates and some news stories that have arisen. So if you haven't watched that episode, I think that is episode 31. And we talked about some sports stories, one of them being the Brett Favre scandal where he took money from welfare and gave it for his daughter's basketball court. There's been an update in the case.
Volleyball.
Volleyball, yeah. After a long bit of silence from Brett Favre, because he usually has a radio show he's on, but he hasn't been doing that, obviously, he decided to come out and deny any wrongdoing and saying that he did not know that the money was coming from welfare. But the funny thing about this whole entire situation is there's text messages, actual text messages between Brett Favre and this person about, I believe it's there are physical text messages, and he says he does not know it came from welfare.
Okay, word for word. I obviously can't say word for word because I don't exactly remember, but it was like, if the media finds out we can't let the media find out about this because they're gonna be pissed. Is essentially one of the things he said. So how do you not know you're doing something wrong, and then be like, oh, but we need to make sure no one else finds out about this? If it's not wrong, why do you care?
Yeah, the text message from him is, quote, "If you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much?" So, what does he mean? Even if it's, not from welfare, then why would you just say, is there any, it makes no sense.
It's, he clearly knows he's doing something wrong. Fine, I can see maybe to the extent he didn't know, but he still knew he was doing something wrong. He was saying, oh, we can't let the media find out.
Yeah, there's an ongoing state approval right now, but he came out and denied the thing. I'll try to figure out what he said. Brett Favre denial.
God.
Something about Packers quarterbacks and just being a little off.
Yeah, so Favre denies wrongdoing. Media, quote, smeared him in Alabama welfare scandal. So he said, quote, "I have been unjustly smeared in the media. I have done nothing wrong, and it is past time to set the record straight. No one ever told me, and I did not know that funds designated for welfare recipients were going to the university or me. I tried to help my alma mater, USM, University of Southern Mississippi, a public university, raise funds for a wellness center. My goal was and always will be to improve the athletic facilities at my university," which again is really funny because he said my goal was and always will be to improve the athletic facilities at the university, right? So take welfare, if no one told you that you're taking, you still took money from the government regardless, even if you did not specifically know that it was coming from welfare.
Exactly.
You took money from the government.
Exactly.
So,
and it's what are you doing?
I saw that he denied all wrong. You say the media smeared him. I was like, what? You took, regardless, you knew, Peter, you said, you knew the media would be upset. So
if you knew they would be upset, there's a reason why that they would be upset. So what's going on here?
And the worst part of it all is I don't think Brett Favre maybe understands. Maybe he does understand. He's just making his case this is his defense in a sense. This is criminal. And we're going to get into a guy a little bit later who did something in the NFL. This isn't I might get suspended by the league for a game. I might get a little bit fined. This is
federal.
Potential prison. This is state prison charges. And I don't think he understands that in a sense, unless this is what his lawyer's telling him is the best way. Yeah, Raj.
So I just looked up the ranking of Southern Miss's volleyball team. So for context, Pitt is ranked 5 in the country right now. Our volleyball team, they are them.
Women's
very
volleyball.
good. Very good. Southern Miss's volleyball team is ranked 112 out of.
Are they a D1 program?
They are a D1 program. They are very
16.
Nope, they are very Southern Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the NCAA website, I look up Southern Miss. Yep, 115. My bad.
115.
They are ranked 115. Why first like you're donating money and stealing welfare money to donate to a volleyball team that's ranked 115. I don't know how that's going to help them at all, first off.
Raj, I love your logic. Yeah, it's not about the welfare money. Why is your team horrible? Like, why are you even spending money on them in general?
Exactly.
But no, it's just absolutely egregious.
Well, I do. About. So to add on, I know Raj was telling me this at some point, but you know how Brett Favre was saying that he's had like thousands of concussions in his life? Yeah. That was actually just him setting up his case for insanity in court, just in case he got caught.
Yeah.
But my CTE from my time in the NFL is messing with my head.
There you go. Just say you're insane. Just say you're insane. It always holds up in court. I don't know where I am right now.
The insanity plea. But we can talk about the next guy on the list, someone who is probably going to have CTE by the time he retires. Tua Tagovailoa.
Antonio Brown Tua.
Yeah, Tua Tagovailoa. For people who do not know, some clips have gone viral. If you don't, I'll try to drop a. Actually, I'm not going to drop a link. It's pretty sad to see. So I'm not going to drop a link. You can go look it up on your own time if you're interested. Long story short, in one game, he hit the ground. He hit his head hard. He got pushed back. His head just kind of did a back reflex. Hit the ground pretty hard. Got up, stumbled, whatever. Got pulled from the game. Went through concussion protocol. Was cleared to go back in by an outside neurotrauma consultant. And then the next week later, he took an awkward fall on a sack, and he went down, and his fingers, Raj was showing on the video for audio listeners, his fingers were like stuck. Yeah. I think they call it Fletch fingers. They were stuck in front of his face, like locked.
And when he you could see him roll over, and his hands did not move the entire time. And then you see his teammates trying to pick him up, and his chest would move up, but his head was still down because he was completely unconscious at this point.
Yeah. So really bad stuff, and it led to a lot of controversy because after week one, people were kind of he got really after he hit his head and was stumbling and looked very he needed to be pulled out. A lot of people were like, "How did he clear concussion protocol so fast?" But no one really thought anything of it. I don't really think that wasn't really a story going into the week, and then this injury kind of brought up a lot of conversation about concussion protocol. And I'm going to talk about, actually, I'll get everyone else's thoughts first so I don't go on a long rant. But I'm very passionate about this topic, but I want to hear everyone's thoughts on this whole entire Tua stuff.
Yes. I mean, so look, here's the thing. I don't know enough about what was going on with Tua. I don't follow the Dolphins very closely. I wasn't following because I saw when Tua hit his head in the Bills game, I saw, okay, he stumbled, he was out. I didn't really pay much attention to it because it's okay, he got pulled, he went back in, maybe he was fine because he looked fine in the game. That's the whole thing is that he looked fine. So everyone was like, okay, it just looks like he got his bell wrong. Maybe he literally just tripped. Who knows? Even though if you know anything about any sort of head injuries, you can immediately tell the way that he stumbled. That is some sort of trauma to the back or neck or head. Something in there is not right. So he gets checked by the independent neurologist, and that actually was something approved by the NFL Players Association, where it's it has to be an independent doctor. It can't be associated to the NFL or any teams in any way. It has to be just a doctor looking at a patient. They have no connections to anything else. Just looking at it. Are they good? Are they not? End of story. Doesn't matter what happens. So then, okay, he gets checked. He goes back in. He plays. It's all right. And then he's cleared again to play against the Bengals. And then he gets next game.
He goes back to the Bills game after halftime.
It's he goes to the Bills, he's fine, and then against the Bengals, he is still fine. Even after the game, he was still clear. He had to get cleared again to go into the Bengals game. And then he is one of the worst injuries I've seen in a minute. He was completely unconscious. That is permanent brain damage. That looked horrible. And obviously the immediate jump is blame the organization. And again, I don't know, and I don't think anybody truly knows what happened inside the locker room. If it was, because there's two different scenarios, essentially. If it was Tua that said, I'm fine, I want to play, in spite of what the neurologist was saying, if the neurologist said, hey, you are, according to my standards, able to play, but I cannot guarantee that you won't get hurt and you won't get seriously injured after this. If that was said to Tua and he chose anyway, then that injury is on him. But if the neurologist did not tell him that, if he just said, you're fine, there's no chance you are ever going to get hurt like that again, unless it's like literally just another injury of the exact same caliber. And it will just be the exact same thing that happened. You'll just stumble. You'll be like, your bell will be rocked. You'll be fine. If he wasn't informed of that and then he chose to play, that's a different scenario. But I think the immediate jumping to immediately blame the organization, change everything, I feel like there needs to be a much more thorough investigation to it, because we just, or at least as the public, we don't necessarily know exactly what happened. I think that's like where I stand. Is like, because if it was Tua that chose to do that in spite of knowing that he could be injured, that sucks. He's a competitor. Like that's what happens. It wasn't a dirty hit. It wasn't anything bad. It was literally just a sack. He got thrown to the ground, hit his head. But if he was not informed of what the risks were going into that game, then that organization needs to be burned to the ground. And it's one or the other. So I just, whichever side it is, that's the side I'm going to stand on, but I just don't know enough.
See, I don't trust the Dolphins organization after the whole little draft thing. So they're kind of,
that's fair.
They're on a very they have very low credibility. So it's like, I'm not going to trust them saying, oh, we followed protocol to a T. Clearly you didn't.
Tampering, draft picks, there's a lot going on.
I have a good feeling some parts of that concussion protocol were definitely skipped. The independent neurologist, I do believe he definitely told Tua, the extent of what happened. I don't want to blame the independent neurologist for the reason why Tua went back in. He did his evaluation and everything. Unless he was sports betting or something, maybe, but why would a neurologist...
That is, dude, you cannot just throw an accusation like that.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, he was just betting on the game.
I'm saying,
pulling a Calvin Ridley.
Yeah,
literally.
Hypothetically, maybe this neurologist who shouldn't have to worry about sports betting like that, maybe he was just he had Tua.
Maybe he had the over on Tua.
Maybe he did.
He wouldn't be allowed to bet.
Yeah,
no, it's definitely in their contract, but
which is why I'm like, an independent neurologist. Two things: his medical license and the Hippocratic Oath. He's not going to put either. He's not going to violate one and risk his medical license, and just tell Tua, yeah, you're good to go. And who knows? Maybe his evaluation didn't find anything significant enough. But I firmly believe I don't trust the Dolphins organization. They've been caught up in way too many things. I do believe I don't know if it was Mike Daniel. What's their head coach's name?
So right now it's
Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel, and then it was Brian Flores before.
Yeah. So Mike McDaniel is head coach right now. I don't think he had anything to do with this. He seems like a good coach.
Not.
Yeah, he seems like a good coach. I think it's one of the higher ups in the organization. Maybe
GM
the team,
or owner.
GM or owner definitely went to Tua, spoke to him, and said something. Maybe hey, we'll slip in an extra $5 million if you go back in. Something. I don't know. I don't trust the Dolphins.
All right, here I go.
Uh-oh.
There we go. All right.
What was the Dolphins?
I'll go pee. You go.
What was the Dolphins' record going into the Thursday night football game against the Bengals? Anyone want to tell me?
They were undefeated, right?
Undefeated, 3-0. They led the AFC East. There was 4 days after Tua's injury against the Bills. He goes back into the Bills game. He plays well the rest of the game. Apparently showed no signs of concussion symptoms. He was questionable the entire 4 days leading up to the Bengals game. So they're 3-0 on a short week against the Bengals. There is no reason for Tua to have to play. So I do not believe there's at very little pressure from the organization. The Bengals were not playing that well. They have a very credible backup in Teddy Bridgewater. Mike McDaniels is a brand new coach who just got to Miami. He comes from a very credible organization in the 49ers with Coach Kyle Shanahan, who's one of the best coaches that the NFL has had in a really long time. So I do not believe it was Mike McDaniels. And right in this moment, Tua doesn't have much incentive to play. You're playing the Bengals on a short week in Cincinnati. This is a tough game regardless if Tua's in the game. And that it played out that way. They were losing when Tua, they were still in a hole when Tua went down.
Yeah,
the game didn't change that much
in the game. Yeah.
No, he didn't look good in the game. The Dolphins were in a tough spot anyway. They were not favored to win that game in Cincinnati. So logically, it doesn't make sense to me why people are saying like the organization would have put pressure on him to play. It doesn't make much sense why there would have been pressure for him to play. Again, the Dolphins were in a trap game, 3-0 in their division. I don't see the reason for him to play. Number two, I am not going to sit here and question, and this is like not you guys, the media instantly goes to, wow, these doctors screwed up. Doctors, and Raj and I are on this path, and Peter, you're on this path as well. Doctors go to school for 8 years just to get their medical license, just to practice medicine. Then they have to go do residency training that often is 3 to 4 years long, and then follow up fellowship. Neurotrauma is certainly 8 plus 6, at least a 14-year track.
It is like top tier
14-year, 16-year track. And I don't understand where the media has the audacity to act like they know because Tua stumbled against the Bills. Number two, no one was freaking talking about Tua stumbling against the Bills until he got hurt in the Bengals game. No one was talking about that. There were some doctors, Dr. Brian Suter, MD, he's on Twitter. He talks a lot about sports injuries. He does reactions to them. He did tweet that he doesn't understand how Tua was playing in the Bengals game. I will give him credit for that, for mentioning beforehand. But most of the media was not mentioning that Tua got hurt in the Bills game, in the Bengals game. Whoever was on the call for that Thursday night game mentioned it. But people did not care that he stumbled and looked bad in the Bills game with the head injury and then was playing. They only cared about that once he got hurt in that game. So that all those things line up. It does not make sense to me why other people are blaming the neuroconsultant. He gets fired from his job, which I don't think he deserves to get fired from his job. I think it's an awful look for the league to just file him. And they just said, I didn't read any reports. Maybe there is something that they said that how he didn't follow protocol.
I think
they were like, he didn't follow protocol.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of reports where he was being like weird about it. I don't know if again he probably did follow protocol, but I did hear like he wasn't exactly like the most like receptive to it, because I think it was like whenever they questioned him, he was like, well, he was like very blunt with his responses, so I think they were just like, all right, get him out of here, which was like stupid, but it like if you're working with a team, you have to like work as a team. So it's like there were probably some reasons why, but I don't know if it should have just been like instantaneous fire. It should have been a much more in-depth, like, okay, what did you do? What was your entire process? Walk us through it. And then it's like, if he screwed something up, obviously, then you fire.
Yeah, and what the hard part for me is there's concussion protocols in place. There's a team physician who's an MD who has gone to school for many years and works in being a team sports physician. Like you make your way through as a doctor.
You're
it's
that
not
guy. You are that guy.
You're not coming out as a first year attending and doing that.
There's only 32 of them.
Exactly. And then additionally you get cleared by the neurotrauma consultant. So on paper, people are like, oh, if you stumble, you shouldn't be playing. And now they're introducing a rule where, like, if you stumble or whatnot. And it's ridiculous because, and part of the thing is, Tua's second fall, it wasn't like Tua fell lightly in the Bengals game. And it was like, oh, totally, there must have been something up with this, like because he fell so lightly and it triggered all these symptoms. He got brutalized in the Bengals game, as well as the Bills game. Like, it wasn't like his mechanism of injury was something so light that it wouldn't have initiated that response. He got tossed on the ground very hard in that game. That probably knocks any quarterback out in concussion protocol. And I don't know how much of an effect the Bills game had, but I also know when you put a football helmet on every single quarterback in the league, Joe Burrow went on into his podcast and talked about it, there is a risk. Ryan Shazier lost his entire career because he got hit in a Pittsburgh Steelers game. The Pitt guy, I forget his name, who plays for the Bills, he looked really bad.
And he's playing. He's back.
And he's playing right now. And there's so many other head injuries a year. There's probably so many other players I'm forgetting who have gotten really hurt in games and come back next game. This isn't abnormal, and it sucks to see, and you don't want to see it. And I think that Tua probably shouldn't have gone back in the Dolphins game. I don't think he probably should have played the Bengals game. But if he wasn't experiencing any concussion symptoms, if he was playing football fine and well, I'm sure he was informed about the risks. I'm sure they didn't push him to play. If Tua simply said, "Hey guys, I'm not good to go," he could have held out. Players hold power in the league, and even if the Dolphins we're going to cut you because we don't like that you don't want to play,
that would be insane.
Cool story. People would have picked him up. There's a lot of other teams in the league that need a quarterback, specifically the Chicago Bears, who don't even trust their quarterback at all. There is there is no reason Tua would have played this game. I do not believe the coach, who's a first-year head coach, who, if this was on Mike McDaniels, he does not have a future in this league at all. And like the higher ups just got involved in the whole scandal. Like the whole entire organization is like kind of inflamed. I really doubt they were pressuring Tua. Tua either made a decision himself, or there is no medical reason that they knew about to do this. So everyone else is just making their opinions based on like, I just feel like he shouldn't have been playing. And I'm like, cool, your feelings don't matter. Like, look at the science. And and it sucks to see the reaction around like media members who don't know the science. Like, I'm not even pretending to know the science. I'm saying I'm going to trust the people who made the evaluation. I'm going to trust Tua to make a decision. And I know football is a brutal game that has taken a lot of people out of this league earlier than they needed to. I mean, you look at guys like Andrew Luck, who was just like, I'm just done with this. Like, great career. I'm done with this. Ryan Shazier is having a fine career. Has RG3. Never stepped foot on RG3. All these, you could just go on and on. Sean Taylor, it was like brutal. Like, all these things just like, it's baffling to me that people think that like the doctor, like instantly go to he shouldn't have been playing the doctors. And it bothers me because, again, people did not talk about this after the Bills game. Nothing.
Yeah. It's only because Tua looked good in the Bills game, because it's like, oh, well, they beat the Bills. That's the narrative they want to push, versus anybody's just stopping saying, it's like, okay, yes, they beat them. It's like, but Tua should not, like, if the Dolphins want to preserve like their quarterback that clearly can come back from adversity, you should not be playing him against a short week against the Bengals, like you were saying. Like, look, you're 3-0. I get it. You want to stay undefeated. I understand that. But look, you have to look out for your team. You have to look out for the longevity of everybody, and that's what you should be doing. So, and again, like if this was on Tua, if this was on the doctor, if this was on the organization, who cares? Whoever was the one that the decision came down to, they needed to look further than the Bengals game. They needed to look past that.
And I'm not even going to chalk it up to the fact that, I don't know, I'm chalking him to, I don't think it was really anyone's fault, and I think it's more a matter of Tua took a brutal hit against the Bills, and he also took another brutal hit against the Bengals, and it's a tough situation where you get hit two times really hard. I'm sure it had some effect, like maybe his muscles were weakened, they weren't able to like support his spinal cord as well during that game. But I could also really be convinced that it was only the hit in the Bengals game, because he got hit really hard. It wasn't like I keep like saying, it wasn't like he just got
hit. He got like whipped into the ground, and he basically broke the fall with his like C-spine, with his neck. Like, it was
and
bad.
Then he gets, and then I want to add on to this. Everyone's saying like how bad it was. He got cleared from the Cincinnati Medical Center and went home on the team plane. Like, the people at that medical center also let him leave the hospital that night after that bad of a trauma. They let him leave the hospital to go home on the team plane. Like, they also didn't see a reason to keep him. And they're trauma people who saw the Bills game and saw the Bengals game and made a decision on that. So, like, it is so aggravating to see people do that. Like, he left, they didn't even hold him overnight. They were like, you can go home. You can fly from Cincinnati back to Miami this night. You'll be fine to do that.
So the immediate jumping of the gun into blame the medical staff is just like, come on. Like, that's it's just cheap. It's like, oh, it's easy. He got hurt. It's the medical staff's fault. It's like, no.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell doctors how to do their job. And I feel like everyone's like now suddenly knows concussion protocol and wants to update concussion protocol. Like you didn't give a damn about concussion protocol until now that you can like put a platform on it and say, like, and the popular thing to say is, he shouldn't have been playing. I'm all in support of concussion rights. Like, cool, I'm in support of concussion rights. Like, CT is a really big problem in the NFL, but it's also part of the game. And there's not much you could do to avoid it. Are you going to start playing flag football with quarterbacks? Like, it's not going to be tackle football anymore if you don't hit quarterback. Like, that stuff kind of just happens. And there's been a lot of bad head injuries in the NFL this season so far, and you really hate to see it. But no, I just cannot get over the media's reaction to the situation. And again, he was questionable going into the week. No, he wasn't questionable. He's definitely not playing this week. He probably is going to play the week afterwards. And I'm like, it's because like they don't find anything wrong. I'm not saying there's something that we don't know about concussions, about like what could be later affecting this stuff. But if we don't know about it, I can't blame doctors for not knowing the science. So
yeah, because if you literally do not know it, it's like, okay, like, we can't say anything. It's like, if we can't scientifically prove that there is a risk, we can't tell you not to. But again, because we don't know, that's up to you now. You need to make that decision. You need to make that judgment call. And if it's Tua and if it's the organization both agreeing together, yes, I'm willing to take whatever risk science does not know yet in order to win this football game, then it's out of the medical staff's hands at that point.
Yeah. And the last thing I'm going to say on the matter is I believe there's a 0% chance that he was pressured to go back into the Bills game when he first got hurt. Like after halftime, I'm sure if he said,
right.
Mike, I just don't feel good right now. Like I can't play. He totally advocated to go back in the game. Like there's no way Mike was like, 100%. Tua, I just saw you stumble on that field.
Get out
you
there.
Gotta play right now. The GM didn't call him and be like, or like come down to the locker room and be like, Tua, you better get out there. Like no, Tua decided to go back into the Bills game. He definitely decided to do it himself.
Like, he's a competitor.
Why. And that's a risk you take when you're ambitious, when you're competitive, when you put yourself out there. These are risks you take, especially when you play when you're at the top of your game. So I hope if they want to improve concussion protocol, cool. I would really hate to see this neurotrauma consultant lose his job over something I probably don't think is his fault. But if it comes out and it's fault, then I'll blame the doctor all I want. But I mean,
until that happens,
yeah, I fully believe that Tua did not need to go back into the Bills game afterwards. And if you want to advocate that he wasn't playing the Bengals game, then you can go get a medical degree in sports medicine and neurology and then come back and talk to me. And we're growing a little
years
bit
from now, we're going to get a comment of someone, hey, I listened to you. I got a degree. He shouldn't have been in the game. It's like, well, listen, I guess you were right.
Listen, whoever is out there listening to this right now who has a neurotrauma specialty, drop a like.
Yeah.
But we're running a little long here, but that's okay. I wanted to get everyone's quick reactions on the whole Davante Adams situation because, like, low key, like, way more polarizing than I thought it would be.
For some, look.
I'll describe the situation real quick. Davante Adams, receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders, almost said Oakland Raiders. End of the game, he's really frustrated. Cameraman like kind of gets in his way walking in, and I don't think Davante Adams completely sees him, but he like pushes him to the ground. The cameraman who got pushed to the ground, files a police report. Davante Adams apologizes post game and puts out a tweet, I think, later. But that's like a very oversimplification. You can go watch the video. I'll try to drop a link. Raj is showing it on the video, but it doesn't help. I will drop a link.
Let it replay. Come on.
There you go. For video listeners, you can see Raj's phone quality, or you can just go to the link in the description. We have I'll have links for a bunch of stuff that we talked about today, like the Grizzly bear and stuff like that.
For contrast, this is Davante Adams on the Packers after he pushes someone.
Okay, Raj, it's your phone quality. It's horrible.
You look terrible. But I just want to get everyone's quick reaction on it because it's so polarizing for like no reason, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's the Raiders effect.
Oh my god! Look, I don't think he intended to push him that hard. I think he was coming off of a bad loss. Should he have pushed the guy? Absolutely not. But people are treating this like he actually murdered this guy in the middle of the stadium. It is insane. It's like, because you can even see, it's like he like extends his arms a little bit and like shoves him. Like, it's like, absolutely, like it's wrong. Like, I totally get where everybody's coming from, but it's like, yes, it's terrible, but it's like, he's not dead. Like, the guy fell down, and of course Davante Adams like walks up because he's like pissed, and it's like, yeah, he should get fined, he should get whatever. But everybody's like calling Davante Adams like he should be in prison. Like, what are we like? No,
this is
I could walk down to South Oakland, watch someone get shoved to the ground, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. Like, what do you mean?
The prison league gonna go crazy. Henry Ruggs, Davante Adams at receiver, Big Ben at QB.
Gosh, you just want violence. Like, this is all you want.
Aaron Hernandez at tight end.
Anyway, do you have an actual take on the opinion, Raj?
Alvin Kamara at running back.
Okay, can we skip him?
My actual opinion is Davante Adams. Clearly, he was just pissed off because Hunter Renfrow ruined his route. And it wasn't Hunter Renfrow's fault. The corner had a good jam on him, and it threw off their timing. Whatever. I don't think he meant to shove him as hard, but that dude's going to get a bag. He's probably set for the next, 20 years. Besides that, I mean, I feel like Davante Adams is being crucified for something that's not, as insane.
It's bad. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Bro didn't, pick him up and, suplex him.
Exactly.
I I think there's two sides. Like, people are like, this guy's a criminal, and there's people who are like, this is nothing. I'm very in between. I think Davante Adams deserves a fine, and I think he deserves I would typically say a 1-game suspension, but Mike Evans got suspended for 1 game for fighting another football player. So I'm gonna say he probably deserves 2 games based on the league standards, but I would give him 1 game. Yeah. But I wouldn't have suspended Mike Evans. But like with my logic, I would give him 1 game suspension. I would have fined him like whatever. They have a scale. I would have fined him, and I don't blame the cameraman for filing a police report. Like if you don't file a police report when something happens, you can't file a police report later. So if he actually got seriously hurt, it's in his best interest to just submit a police report. And if he doesn't want to press charges down the line, don't press charges. Like everyone was making a big deal about the police report. He should have filed a police report because he got shoved to the ground by a guy who was way bigger than him. He was off balance. He wasn't expecting it. And if he gets hurt or whatnot, or if Davante Adams exhibited really bad behavior after the game. Also, there was probably police on site. They were probably like, you should file a police report.
I think that's
real quick.
What happened too, yeah.
Yeah. Like it doesn't make sense. Like he's not a criminal. I really doubt this cameraman's going to press charges. I'm sure Davante Adams has already talked to him, or they've tried to reach out. It's a bad look. Your job, you have to, as a professional athlete, you're supposed to like maintain good behavior, especially interacting with media members. The guy was doing his job. He shouldn't have walked in front of Davante Adams. He was doing his job, trying to move around, and Davante Adams shoved him, and then he didn't even try to help him out getting up or anything. It's a bad look. He should get fined and he should get suspended a game or 2. But like, no, people saying he should be like, I've seen like locked up. That's like criminal behavior.
Like, shut up. Like, get out of here.
I'm like, there's a reason, and like he came out instantly in this post game preference and apologized. I don't know why it's so polarizing, and I don't know why people who are saying it's nothing are like it's nothing. I'm like, you still shoved a dude you still shoved a guy who's supposed to be helping. Like he's a cameraman, he's trying to help you out, get your brand out there, and spread the NFL brand. So like, yeah,
it's not that deep. It really isn't that deep, and people are making it way too deep. It's like, fine him, suspend him a game or something. He already apologized. He's trying to make it better. He messed up. Move on. Like, there we go. We're good. Yep.
And context matters for. I know some people are like, context doesn't matter. Context does matter for everything. It was a tough loss. So I think I'm not saying like if you've done that and like you won the game that you should be suspended any less, but like you can reasonably understand Davante Adams' actions in the moment. So don't know why I was polarizing, but I think that's going to be the end of the podcast if no one else has anything else.
The longest yard 2 poster is going to look crazy by the end of the season.
Thanks, Raj. Anyway, that has been the Watch Athlete Podcast. Thanks for everyone for listening to my really long rant about Tua's injury and my opinions about Davante Adams. I hope everyone enjoyed the episode. Make sure you go drop a like, comment, subscribe. It really helps the channel out a lot. Go check out our Instagram reels. If you haven't watched episode 32 and 31 of the pod, you should go check that out. We also dropped the Cobra Kai review. In the meantime, right now we are in the process of watching She-Hulk is coming up soon, and Andor should be coming up soon. So hopefully we'll have some good reviews coming out for that kind of stuff too. And then we'll have a new Black Panther movie around the corner as well. So it should be exciting times for the pod, but of course we'll be bringing these weekly episodes to you hopefully every week. So in the meantime, make sure you go check everything out, and then we will see you next time on the Washed Athlete Podcast.
Before you end it, I have a quick quote to read. Jacob has openly admitted to liking Kenny Pickett. I repeat, Jacob does not hate Kenny Pickett no more.
It's the end of days.
Yep.
Hug your loved ones.
You made this outro so much harder with the music. All right, bye everyone.